Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Happy to have you all. And hey, happy to be back home. Obviously, really enjoyed San Francisco, a great city. One of my favorite cities, actually. I would say it's my second favorite city I've ever been to in the United States. Number one, Boston. Number two, San Francisco at this point. Great food, great travel. But we got a lot to do. We got a lot going on. And I'm happy to be back. Happy to be back into the market. Obviously, bit of a rough weekend, right? Bit of a rough weekend. It's not great when you're on an airplane. You land, you get down on the ground, you turn off that airplane mode, and then boom, everybody's messaging you. What's going on? Market's down, whatever. And so obviously it's not the best thing. It's not the most fun thing. But what can you do? So today we're going to start going over just kind of what today entails. Obviously, you guys know I've really loved streaming recently. So I'm trying to bust out, 3, 4, 5 streams a week, especially when we have days like today, because today is incredibly important. Today's are incredibly important. Now, all that I ask from you all, we're going to get straight into it. Obviously, we're already a couple minutes in. All I ask for you is to let me know, is the audio good? Is the video good? And if that is the case, we're going to get into it today because we have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about what's going on with the FOMC. We want to talk about what's happening there, what you need to be on the lookout for, my expectations, what I think it means for crypto, and much more. We got a lot to go on, okay? We got a lot to go on. So it looks all good. All good, all good. All right, baby, let's get into it. So today is the day, 4 hours until we find out. Tyler, what are you talking about? So as I mentioned in yesterday's video, today is the day in which we see the FOMC meeting. Quite simply, this is a meeting where a bunch of almost lizard people talk about how they think the economy is, whether or not they're making enough money from the economy. Their overseers are kind of telling them what they should and shouldn't be doing. And then they're going to go in and they're going to tell us, look, this is what we're going to do to either inject or remove liquidity or keep the market the same. They're going to go in and they're going to decide whether or not they're going to say raise interest rates, which is obviously something that will constrain the economy because it's going to force prices on money to go up. Quite simply meaning the cost of getting money goes up, which obviously makes money more illiquid. There's not going to be as much of it. They're going to maybe go in and lower interest rates, which obviously starts to make money cheaper. It's easier to get, and therefore more people have it, which is typically pretty good. Or they're going to say, hey, we're happy where it is. The market is constrained just enough to reduce inflation, but not crush the economy. Now, as a result of this, everyone pretty much assumes knows they're not going to do anything today. The primary reason that we're not expecting them to do much today is quite simply just because you have to understand that although the economy is in a bit of a better place than it was, it's still not great. That's the problem, though, because inflation is being sticky. One of the worst things that could happen in this economy, right, is that the economy is getting worse as inflation rises. That is a terrible thing that could happen, because what that means is that they're going to have to go in and they're going to have to make the economy even worse to reduce inflation, because quite frankly, the way for them to battle inflation is to make the economy worse, because inflation is typically a byproduct of people having a little bit too much money or them printing too much money, quite frankly. Now, when they print too much money, more money goes into existence, the value of the dollar decreases. You get the point. So what does all of this mean? Well, today we're going to see them decide what they're going to do. Now, you may be wondering, well, Tyler, you just said that it's very likely they're not going to do anything. Why is this so important? Well, there's two primary reasons as to why this is so important. Reason number one. Okay. Reason number one, this is so important is because this is the very first post-catalyst season, not inauguration, sorry, post-catalyst season FOMC meeting that we've had. And what I mean by that is that throughout the year of 2024, we had catalysts basically every couple months. We had the ETF, we had the elections, we had the halving, we had, I don't know if I just said 2021. I meant to say 2024. But throughout 2024, we had obviously the ETF, the inauguration, we had the halving, we had the elections. We had things pretty consistently, and the SEC, obviously, stuff going on there. We had things pretty consistently to boost up the crypto market, something for people to look forward to, something for people to be excited about. And whenever you have those catalysts, oftentimes that is going to be an inducer for retail investors to be able to come in and buy confidently. Well, when that happens, this will happen. When that happens, this will happen. And it starts to boost the crypto market, even though things may be a little shaky. Because quite frankly, last year was a bit of a weird year, right? The economy wasn't looking so hot. Inflation was a little bit weird. It was in a spot where we weren't exactly sure what was going to happen with it, right? And now, though, we are having our very first FOMC meeting in which we don't have any of those things, right? Obviously, people are expecting / hoping for a Bitcoin strategic reserve. They're hoping / waiting for some other things to come out from the White House. there are these things, but quite frankly, whenever you look at the macro crypto market in 2025, there's not so many catalysts that someone can say, oh, in March, this happens. Oh, in June, this happens. Now, why is this so important? Well, the reason that this is so important is because in years without catalysts, crypto will typically fall back in line with the general stock, or not even the stock, but general other assets that are remotely similar. Many other asset classes that are similar to crypto, such as stocks, for example, they have a couple things throughout the year that impact them, such as earning seasons and things like that. But oftentimes, the performance of the stock market is generally determined by just economic growth or reduction. If the economy is doing good, companies are making more money, stock market go up. Economy doing bad, these companies are making less money, market go down, right? And we start to notice that the world of crypto falls back in line with those general traditional and fundamental values in the sense that its growth, expansion, or reduction will be almost fully dependent on how the market is doing. And what the Fed does today will help us determine what the market will, or the economy will be doing. Is the economy in a good spot? Is it in a bad spot? Are they going to start making it worse? Are they going to start making it better? Because once we have an idea of what they're going to do there, then generally speaking, that is going to help shape and define what the crypto market is going to do. Maybe not the whole year, but throughout the next possible couple months. Now, with that in mind, obviously, that means that as time goes on and we start to see more and more FOMC meetings, it's going to be important for us to recognize how they're shaping and molding the economy, because what the economy does is very likely going to impact the overall performance for crypto. So, for example, if inflation was to take off and they have to start crushing the economy even more, crypto is going to get absolutely decimated because it's not being held above the water by these catalysts. They're not there. Quite simply, we're past most of them, and that's going to destroy crypto. But say, for example, inflation drops like fast, just boom, out of nowhere, well, then we're in a spot where if they start reducing interest rates, that liquidity is going to find its way into crypto. Retail investors are going to be a little bit more liquid, and that's going to allow for crypto to push upwards. And if they don't do anything the whole year, crypto's probably not going to have that much of a great performance unless something gigantic like a Bitcoin strategic reserve happens. So with these things in mind, it's more important now than don't want to say ever, maybe for the last 15 months, it's more important now to pay attention to the FOMC than anything. Now, the good part about it is, realistically, just because, oh, you know what? And there was a second thing that I wanted to let you know. Okay, I told you there was two reasons it was important. The second reason it was also so important is because they're going to give us an idea of how they're feeling for the future, right? So right now, the crypto market is for the most part priced in the fact that nothing's really going to happen, which is the reason why the market's, sure, it feels like it's dropping, but if you look at total 1, total 2, total 3, or even others, they're not really falling that much. Some individual alts are falling, but if you have a diversified portfolio, you're not down that much. And the reason you are down a little bit is just because people are thinking, oh man, like post catalyst season, that sucks, right? Like that's just where we're at, right? And so the good part about it is the likelihood is that if they don't do anything, it's probably already priced in. So the crypto market today may not get all wild. But what they're going to do is they're going to tell us how they're feeling about the future. If they've changed their plans, if they have any new ideas, if they're maybe getting a little bullish, or maybe if they're getting a little bearish on the state of the economy. And whatever they imply with their speech, how they sound, how they talk, what they say, that is very likely going to determine what happens in this market. Because if they come out and they say, yeah, we're optimistic that what we're doing is going in the right direction, and it seems as if it's going to be a possibility that although we're going to pause on this one just to be safe, the next couple we may actually end up picking up more interest rate cuts throughout the year, market's going to go off. It's just going to take off because that's what it would do. It's going to get a little volatile, but it'll take off. And so the second thing that you need to understand is that not only is it important to see what they do with cuts now, it's important to see what they imply about the future. Okay. It's important to see what they imply about the future. Now, with that in mind, obviously, that's it, right? That's the main core premise of what this is. And for the next couple rate cuts, you need to pay attention to what happens here. Because quite frankly, if you want an altcoin season to happen, we're going to need to be, in my opinion, now that I'm shaping my belief about this over time, I think we're going to need to be in a bit of a better situation. I think if we're going to see a real 2021-esque, which I don't think we're going to hit 2021 levels in terms of retail investment, but if we're going to see a real 2021-esque altcoin season, right, in which it's not just XRP pumping or it's not just Solana pumping, but the vast majority of the market is pumping, we are going to need to see the economy enter into a little bit of a better place. We're not in a terrible place right now, but by no means are we in a good place. I think we need to enter into a period of more quantitative easing to open up the door for risk on assets like altcoins to really be able to outperform. I'm not saying that they can't go up. I'm not saying that they can't do well. I mean, they did well, very well last year, but I'm more under the belief that if we're going to see a real altcoin season, it's going to be important that we enter into a bit of a better period. You know, I had texted myself, a statistic, and I just saw it on Instagram, so take it for what it's worth, right? But it seems realistic. I saw a statistic, and they said there is not one United States state where working 40 hours a week is enough to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. The caption says that a national low-income housing coalition report reveals full-time workers must earn $23.67 an hour to afford a 1-bedroom rental and $28.58 an hour for a 2-bedroom without exceeding 30% of their income. Minimum wage earners face extreme challenges, needing to work 86 hours a week for a 1-bedroom or 104 hours for a 2-bedroom. Now, what does this mean? Why is that important? Well, the reason why it's important is because I believe maybe we've been a little bit delusional in the sense of thinking that retail investors would really jump in and stay in, right? Because quite frankly, people realistically can't afford to live still. Like, sure, inflation's not going up, but or it's technically still going up, but it's not out of control, right? And sure, so maybe it's been contained a little bit, but that doesn't mean that people can now just automatically afford eggs, right? They can't afford gas. We're in a spot where people are not very liquid. The majority of Americans don't have, $5,000 to their name. And so the idea that they're going to throw $1,000 into some shit coin like we did in 2021 is just unrealistic, right? And I think that the economy needs to enter into a bit of a better place if we're going to see a 2021-esque altcoin market. Now, that is starting to really become my main belief, that a real altcoin season won't happen unless, because I don't know what the answer is there, we see this economy enter into a bit of a better liquid state. And if the Fed remains not happy with where the economy's at and a little bit skeptical of inflation, I think that's just going to continuously get delayed, almost to a point where it makes me question, is this going to be the institution cycle? You know, I made a video with Kate O'Neill, shout out Kate O'Neill, but I made a video with him a couple days, or maybe about a week ago, and I said, look, there's this growing piece of me that starts to wonder whether we're in the institution cycle right now, right? Where the 4-year cycle remains intact, because it's almost kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree, where it remains intact. But the reason why we had a bull market this time was because of institutions. Because if you look at Bitcoin, it's popping because of institutions. If you look at something like Solana, institutions. I know people don't like it, and it's not only because of institutions. Obviously, Solana's ecosystem with things like Pump.Fun and Jupe and everything that happened in 2024 did allow it to grow, but there was a ton of institutional investment, especially after we saw FTX lose its shares, basically, for the most part, right? You look at Solana's pump, institutions, XRP's pump, institutions, Bitcoin's pump, institutions. And to me, it almost makes me start to question, is this going to be a bull market backed off of institutional investment while the retail market, while the general world is starting to recover from the last couple of years? Because the last couple of years were devastating. Obviously, you had the pandemic just 5 years ago. You had, obviously, following that, the hyperprinting of money by our government, who was a little bit ridiculous with it. And by a little bit, I mean absolutely ridiculous with it. That forced inflation prices up to the point where no one could afford anything, almost to most degree, right? 90% of people couldn't afford 90% of the most important things. And so it starts to make me wonder, while we see the everyday person recover, is this going to be a bull run that's supported by institutions? Because if so, it means it's even more important to pay attention to what happens to institutions. Now, does that mean that we couldn't see an altcoin season if it's fully backed by institutions? No, that's not what that means. And will warn you, if you are spamming, you will get muted. But does that mean that we would possibly not see an altcoin run? No, I don't particularly believe that to be the case, because look at things like Trump coin, right? Trump coin took off to multiple $1 billion in market cap, right? Another thing, so that means that obviously people have the money to make some things shake, some things pump, but obviously if Trump coin would have launched like it launched this time in 2021, for example, that would have triggered an altcoin season. You remember how in 2023, March, April, May, I can't remember the exact date, but March, April, May of 2023, Pepe launched, and Pepe going up to a billion really fast triggered this whole mini altcoin season where we actually saw the market performing extremely well back in 2023. That is what would have happened back in like 2021. And technically speaking, Trump's coin, when you get that much liquidity flowing into an ecosystem at once, just like that, it typically will trigger a domino effect into some little mini altcoin season. And it just didn't. And what that means, there could be multiple reasons. One, had that been a normal meme coin, maybe the outcome would be different. Maybe people just didn't trust it because it was for Trump. There's possibility there. But two, what it means is that people weren't willing to put their money in and just lose it, right? People were willing to invest it to see if they can make it, but they were not willing to lose it. And the moment it got ugly, they got out. They didn't reinvest into other meme coins. They didn't do any of those things. We didn't see the liquidity funnel. We didn't see any of those things. They just pulled it out almost immediately because they're not as willing to risk. And when people aren't as willing to take risks, seeing an altcoin season is quite difficult. Now, again, the question is, does that mean that we can't see an altcoin season? No, because as I mentioned before, look what Trump coin did. And also, if we do see institutions shift their direction towards some things like maybe XRP or Solana even more, or Ethereum even more, I mean, look what Trump's what is it, World Liberty Financial or something like that. I mean, look at the tens of millions of dollars worth of Ethereum and, crypto that they're buying. Obviously, something's going on there. And in my opinion, if many institutions do start shifting gears towards altcoins, I think just something like Solana, say, going up to $500 because of institutional investment would trigger enough gains within the local Solana community to then trigger developers to start releasing more coins and bring that liquidity in. So institutions can bring liquidity to altcoins that then funnels into retail that triggers an altcoin season. It just wouldn't be as big as something like 2021. It would probably be more comparable to the beginning of 2024, if I had to guess, or maybe a little bit bigger. And so because of that, things like, just to kind of, get to the end of the point here, things like this are important, right? When you start to think about the idea that this may just be the institution cycle, things like what are happening in the economy and what the Fed is doing to either expand or constrain the economy are extremely important, because it's going to tell us the likelihood or the plausibility that we actually see the everyday person start being a little bit more well off financially to some degree. And that's the only thing that can truly trigger a real altcoin season. And so in my opinion and in my genuine belief, I think this is going to be some of the most important news to pay attention to for the coming weeks, if not the coming months. Obviously, if a Bitcoin strategic reserve gets introduced, things go up. If you start to see, BlackRock go out and they get a Solana ETF, which is not going to happen anytime soon, but say it does, right? Things are going to go up. But those are just what ifs, right? We are in a state of what if now. That is in the future, and realistically, considering the fact, I may be wrong about this, and let me express that. I may be wrong about this. This is just me as a random dude just guessing here, but if the Trump administration is starting from the ground up, working on the regulatory framework and legislation that backs the world of crypto, I can't imagine that they're going to just jump in with a Bitcoin strategic reserve immediately. It's hard for me to make that understanding. So you mean to tell, imagine if they launch a Bitcoin strategic reserve tomorrow. It's like, okay, so you mean to tell me that the legal frameworks for the majority of cryptocurrencies are not in place right now, but you're still willing to launch a Bitcoin strategic reserve, which is basically saying to some degree that you're going to take the taxpayers' money and invest it in Bitcoin for them, which isn't particularly exactly how it works, but do you get the point? Now, I understand that Bitcoin and crypto are not the same thing, and you can invest into Bitcoin without needing any of the regulatory framework to back the rest of crypto, because Bitcoin doesn't need any of that stuff. I get that, but it's the optics. The optics of it are that they are the same. To the everyday person, they are the same. And I can't imagine that they're just going to jump in immediately with a Bitcoin strategic reserve without working their way up to it for a little while with the regulatory framework and then building up even more of a foundation and infrastructure to then support it, if that makes sense. And so because of those things, I'm not relying on a Bitcoin strategic reserve. I'm not waiting on that. I'm not counting down the days, because you can't count down the days. Those things are what ifs and maybes that may happen. And yeah, maybe we'll see it. And what if we do? That'd be cool. But that's all it is right now. And so we need to just put that in the back of our mind for now, in my opinion, and look at what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is the Fed, is the FOMC, and how they will impact the economy, which will then have a broader impact on crypto. So I know that was about a 20-minute talk there, but I just wanted to just give you everything. You guys know I don't withhold information. I just want to give you everything so that you can understand the perspective that I'm taking when I'm saying that things like this are important. It sucks whenever I put a title on YouTube that says, that says, hey, we have the next 36 hours are extremely important. And everybody's like, oh, there you go. Always saying we have only 24 hours left. That's all you YouTubers do. And I totally understand the frustration because it does aggravate me a little bit because like it's just bullshit most of the time. But this is one of those times where you actually need to pay attention, right? Like within the next 4 hours, you need to watch what happens here because it will be extremely important and it is going to start shaping the landscape that we're going to have, right? The canvas that crypto is going to paint on this year is going to be built and shaped by things that happen in the economy as a result of the Fed and other major factors such as the White House and Trump's administration and more. So with that in mind, that's that. I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to drink some water, stay hydrated. You listening, yes, you drink your water. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple charts and just try to get an idea of how people feel right now. I will warn you, anything that I look and analyze over the next 20 minutes or so is almost irrelevant. What happens at the FOMC meeting is probably going to reshift everything. It's going to reshift the technicals, reshift the fundamentals, and the majority of our statistics and our data, right? And our short-term data. And so I'm just going to look at what the market's doing from a statistical perspective just for fun, but I'm not really going to rely on it because quite frankly, no one knows what they're going to say. Obviously, we expect them to pause interest rate cuts, but on top of that, what did they say about the future? No one really knows. And I don't want to try to do technical analysis right before a major catalyst that is rather unknown because it's almost pointless, right? So I'll just warn you about that prior to doing that. But look, let me get a little water. Let me answer a few questions in the chat for about a minute or two, and then let's shift over into the next gear. And I'm also going to do a little shameless shilling here for about 30 seconds. You know what? Let me knock that out of the way now just so we can get into the rest of the video, okay? First and foremost, if you guys have been enjoying doing some trading these days, which I haven't been trading, but if you do want to do some trading, you can use that WEEX linked down below, or WEEX. You can, of course, get up to $20,000 when you do sign up and start trading today. Guys, if you literally just sign up and secure your account, you're going to get $20 in USDT, which is just nuts. I mean, it's just easy, free gains. And in addition to that, if you want to KYC, you can get an extra $10. Once you do start trading, there's going to be opportunities for you to get all the way up to $8,340, $5,000, $3,000, $2,000, $500, $200, building up all the way to $20,000 worth of trading bonuses and sign-up bonuses. So it's a fantastic deal. I mean, they're competing with some of the best, and they have a very clean and crisp platform. So feel free to go check that out if you do want. The second thing that I do want to tell you all about a little bit is that if you have been enjoying the videos that I've been making, and of course the things that I've been saying, and if you find them valuable, only if you find them valuable, I want you to check out the link to the school down below. Guys, over at our school, we have a very simple mission. We take crypto investors like yourselves. We give you a ton of value, which is things like courses and workshops and more, to help you refine your strategies because you can make gains when you have a good strategy. And don't just take it from me. I'm not talking about little gains. I'm talking about big gains. We're talking about since yesterday in this terrible market. This market has been crappy for the last 24 hours, and you can see how the community has been absolutely printing. And that didn't come without losses, right? There were some people who did take losses, and we discussed those losses, and we learned from those losses. So if you want to be a part of this and you want to start going in, all you need to do is you need to head down to the link down below. There's currently over 1,230 members who are in there. There's a couple options for you, and I did open a few executive tier slots this morning, so feel free to go capitalize on that if that is something that is interesting to you. I still don't have my Twitter back because Elon doesn't like me, so that's all I got for you today. That is the end of shameless shilling. Now, let's go into a little bit of Q&A and see what's going on. What's up, everybody? All right, let me get a little water. Drink your water. I'm not going to tell you again. Oh, also smash the like button if you have been enjoying. More people will see this. That's super helpful. No one will really know where this market's going until after today. Once we have an idea of how the Fed feels, because I'm telling you, if the Fed comes out and they get hawkish, that's not, hawkish is like bearish. That's not good, guys. That's not good. You check out Elio's new video. He's completely getting out of stuff like, I feel like I saw you in the school earlier. Maybe I'm tripping. Stuff like SWE and is chasing RWA and AI narrative entirely. Thoughts on this? I'm hard into SWE because of Larry's perspective. I think Elio's chasing the hype. Just like he did with gaming. It's no shade to Elio whatsoever, but you got to start to recognize that when people say, oh, I'm going to sell all of this thing that has a lot of value to go buy this thing that has a lot of excitement and value as well, you start to kind of be like, okay, well, that's a huge shift. Like if you're selling your entire, I would never do that. You know what I mean? And I'm not Elio. Elio's not me. And Elio's a cool guy. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in sticking to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals say SWE is a fantastic investment. SWE has opportunity. The AI narrative is still developing, and you never know what sort of shifts and shapes are going to happen within that. I mean, look at what happened with what's it called? I was traveling, so I didn't get to see it. It's like deep Seek or some shit like that, right? The Chinese version of ChatGPT where they invested $6 million to make it just as good as ChatGPT for the most part. Look what happened there, right? Look how fast that AI narrative can shift because it's still an expanding narrative, right? Where when something like a layer one isn't, that's not an expanding narrative. We know how valuable they are. I would never shift completely out of layer ones to go chase an expanding hype driven narrative. I just don't think it's a great idea. I think that's chasing the hype, and I don't particularly think it's a great idea. Send us a message over on the Patreon app, and we got you, homie. What do you think about Ondo? I like Ondo. I think Ondo had some pretty big news recently. I can't remember what it was. I think I was on the airplane when I saw it. Something about them in XRP in their Ripple or RLUSD. I just can't remember. I'll look. I'm seeing a lot of head and shoulders printing on the 15-minute charts. I'll give a check to that in a second. What do you see the banks Fed trying to do to stop crypto? You know they're evil. I'm not sure they're gonna even try anymore. I almost think they've conceded. I think they'll do some petty stuff here and there to try to just irritate people a little bit, but I'm not quite sure there's really anything they can do. They couldn't do anything under an administration that agreed with them that crypto wasn't good. What are they gonna do with an administration above them that thinks crypto is good? It's just, what are they gonna do really? Deep Sea, that's the one. Deep Seek. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. All right. Just seeing if I missed anything. What is your view on people saying that altcoins, meme coins making lots of money is over because the market is saturated with millions more options? That's just not how that. Okay. How do I explain this? Okay. All right. I need to draw this because I've actually seen this question a ton and I just need to draw this. Okay. Because people are misunderstanding how this works. So let's say we're in a market, right, where we have 5 investors. Let's say each one of these represents 1 million people. And of all of these 1 million people, they all have $10. So there's $10 million that's ready to be invested into the altcoin market. Okay. There's $10 million that's ready to be invested in the altcoin market. I know that looks like 70. Hold on. $10 million ready to be invested into the altcoin market. Now, let's say that $10 million finds its way into these 3 cryptos right here. Say we're back in 2021 and this represents 300, right? There's only 3 good ones, which there was more than that, but you get the point. Okay. If that $10 million goes in there, the way that this is going to divide is going to only, that looks like a brick, but anyway, it's still just going to be $10 million, right? So that $10 million goes in, and although it wouldn't be exactly $10 million of market cap, for the ease of the reference, let's just say all of these go up $3.333 million each. Therefore, the total market cap of altcoins, since these are the only 3 in existence, then goes up to $10 million. Well, let's say that instead of 3, there were 10. Okay, let's say there were 10. What you got to understand is that $10 million is still just going to flow in, and it's just going to break up in different proportions to this, right? And so as a result of this, as a result of the fact that there are more, you're going to see the market caps of each individual crypto smaller. So yes, it's going to look like not as much is happening and that the altcoin market isn't rallying as much. But quite frankly, unless people get frozen with analysis paralysis and they just invest in, the total market cap of crypto is still going to be the same roughly. Now, a couple things can affect it. Obviously, analysis paralysis could cause less people to invest. There could also be more fees that are, kind of separated and divided out across these 10 different cryptos that could technically take this down a little bit. But quite frankly, the total market cap of altcoins would still be growing. Okay, it would still be growing. Now, the way that I see this, which I don't think makes a ton of sense, is that if we're going to see the total market cap of crypto still technically reaching the same place, even though it's saturated across more altcoins, we would still see the total market cap of crypto climbing. So like the total market cap of altcoins, right, for example, or, total 3 would still be climbing, and it's not climbing. So we're not seeing the oversaturation of crypto causing this. It's a lack of liquidity injection causing this. Let me know if that makes sense. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way I see it. Okay. What did he say? All right, let's see. Righty. We had an altcoin season. Did you miss it? We had a small altcoin season. I would definitely agree. I mean, when XRP and ADA and many of those other ones were running, but you're playing on the words to be a little confrontational. Because we all know what we mean, right? Whenever people talk about altcoin seasons, we're wanting to see, an altcoin season. You want to see that typical cycle, the liquidity cycle, not an institution-backed cycle. That's not what people are talking about. You know that. Okay. Righty. What's causing it? Okay. All right, here we go. So, with that in mind, let's do a little technical analysis. I'm going to do some just kind of rapid fire stuff. Pepe's on the move today. Bonk's on the move today. Looks like things are on the move today. All right, let's kind of jump in now that we've, of course, been on stream for a little bit. And let's talk about what is going on with the market. Someone said, do you think the bull run will happen? We've been in a bull run for about 2 years now. We got to reshape that mind. We are in a bull market. We've been in a bull market. This, my friends, for the total market cap of crypto, love it or hate it, is a bull market. We've been in a bull market since January of 2023. We're 2 years into one already. We're at the end to some degree. Just warning you. Okay, but anyway, we'll get into that. Don't spam anyone. I'm just warning you. You will get muted. Now let me throw my computer on the charger real quick, and we're gonna fly into it. All right. Okay, let's get into it. So let's do this. So let's start off here and let's kind of do the full rundown. You guys know I have a pretty simple system here. Drink your water. All right, on the day. Rough day. Weird day. XEN doing well. WIF doing well. Ondo, JTO, Tau, Uni, Fartcoin, Hex, and Move doing well. If Uni's doing well, I would assume something's going on with EVM memes. I would assume maybe like Ethereum memes are popping off. I hadn't looked into that this weekend. Dexy getting smashed. What is Dexy on? What did this launch on? What chain? Etherscan, an Ethereum one. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Radium down on the day. How's Jupe doing? Jupe down on the day. How's Solana doing? Solana down on the day. Okay. So still seeing a little bit of liquidity flowing out of the Solana ecosystem. I would assume, hey, moderators, please just mute anyone who spams something more than once. I would assume that we're starting to see a little bit of liquidity flowing from the Solana ecosystem, possibly into some Ethereum tokens. It's hard to tell. Uni only usually goes up when something's happening there, so it's a bit of an interesting play there. WIF is on what chain again? WIF's on Solana. Nah, just a weird day. I honestly can't even rationalize it. If somebody has an explanation for it, it's just kind of this popcorn season, right? Where a lot of stuff is getting smashed, some stuff is pumping, and everything else is not doing too great. Just very weird there. On the weekly, XEN still smashing it. Jupe still up. OM still up. Tau, KCS is still up. Is that KuCoin? Yeah. KuCoin's still doing good. Pretty interesting. What's KuCoin's market cap? 1.64 billion? That's not bad. BitGet kind of led the wave, so I'm almost wondering if like KuCoin's about to start getting ready to try to make its own little push there. Very interesting stuff right here. KuCoin's at a bit of a key level of resistance. I think maybe KuCoin's worth checking out. Hey team, put KuCoin on the list. Maybe we're gonna check that out later. Fartcoin obviously getting demolished, which I'm not super mad about. I mean, I do like to see obviously the community doing well, but God, I mean, it's Fartcoin. That's a pretty substantial pullback. It is kind of getting back to that key little level of liquidity that it was at, right? You have this little liquidity layer between 62 and 80 cents or so. So, I mean, if it holds here, probably be all right, right? I think that it could possibly run again off of these key levels of support that it's trying to build up to, because it is $1 billion asset. And so because of that, obviously, you are going to see technical analysis having some sort of impact on it. Now, KuCoin is now available in most of the USA. That's crazy. That's actually very, very good. Okay. Very good. I didn't know that. I need to look into that. How in the world did they do that? How did they change the regulations? That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, so looking at it, obviously, I think that if it builds up a little bit of the liquidity levels, I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot. So I'm curious to see how it holds up here. Obviously, this is going to really determine a lot. So paying attention to that. Don't really care about Fartcoin. I don't own any, but I know a lot of my community does. So shout out to you guys. You guys are wild. SWE is pulling back quite substantially. We're going to look at that on the technicals in a second here. All right, let's see. Okay. Pepe getting smashed on the week and on the month. On the year, Pepe getting wrecked. That's ugly work. That looks weird. Okay, that's a maker. I was about to say there's no way. Okay, let's see. That's better. Okay, on the year, month, the week. Okay. So it seems like today we're seeing some decent movement from some meme coins, right? But I mean, the market's just some things are going to go up and some things are going to go down. It seems like this market is just kind of preparing for today. I'm curious to see how that's translating. Crypto fear and greed, neutral state, right? Which would make a lot of sense. A lot of people from more of a retail perspective are kind of just sitting back and waiting and seeing what happens here today for the FOMC meeting. And again, everyone's somewhat aware what the Fed is probably going to do, which is pause interest rates. Remember, what people are waiting to see is how they talk about the future. That's what people are waiting to find out. And I'm curious if that translates to visual screener, which tells us how people are trading right now. It's pretty even. It's pretty even. We're seeing a little bit of a let me see if I pull out any of the outliers and I centralize this a little bit. It does shift a little bit downwards. So what we're seeing for the most part is people rather bearish, right? So you're seeing longs closing and shorts entering, but for some reason, I would assume it's just because the majority of the ones are a bit of a higher market cap. We are still seeing a somewhat relatively decent balance here on Visual Screener. It seems like people are leaning in a bearish direction, meaning that more people are closing down their long trades and entering their short trades. Whenever it comes to the actual trades in general that they're making right now, which means that a lot of people are expecting the Fed to be hawkish and the market to respond negatively to it. Now, I don't particularly know if that's the case. Obviously, I haven't really thought too much about what I think the Fed is going to say. But it seems like people are leaning a little bit in the direction of bearishness, right? Now, that's not always a bad thing, right? If people are expecting the market to be bearish and everybody's shorting the market, typically the market will do the opposite. Whatever people expect to happen during a catalyst, the opposite usually does happen. And so I wonder if, yeah, you can see it. The market it's somewhat neutral, right? And you can kind of see that neutrality here on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. I don't really like Coin Market Cap's one, but it is good whenever you want retail sentiment a little bit more. But you can see people are somewhat shifted. So more people are shorting the market on the shorter time frames than longing the market on the shorter time frames. And what that means is that although the market is somewhat neutral, where people don't really know what's going to happen, they're just taking bets as to what's going to happen. More people are betting that the market's going to go down in the short term than upwards. And you can really start to see that highlighted here on the total exchange liquidation map. Now, what you're looking at here, if you are new to the liquidation map, is the amount of people who will get liquidated if the market goes up, which is to the right side of this red line, and down, which is to the left side of this red line. What this means is that these people are shorting the market, these people are longing the market. So if the price goes up, they get liquidated, they lose. If the price goes down, they get liquidated, they lose. And generally speaking, these are the risky ones. These are the ones who the lizard people, right, the little ones who pull the strings, these are the ones that they're going for. And so the way that I see it, whenever I see a period like this in which there's a ton of liquidations very close to us on both sides, within $5,000 in either direction, there's, let's say, in the shorter time frames, over $1 billion worth of liquidations, it makes me feel like volatility is going to pick up. I actually do expect that, when you look at something like Bitcoin's probably going to see more volatility pretty soon here. It wouldn't shock me if it's as a result of the FOMC, right? So after FOMC, it wouldn't shock me if we maybe see it go sideways for a little bit and it bam, like start moving a little bit more volatile based in the short term. It's exactly what we saw back here. Do you guys remember what I told you? Yeah, you remember when I told you the last time that we saw something similar to this, which was 3 days ago, right? We saw liquidations kind of unbalanced to some degree. We saw just as many liquidations to the downside as the upside, almost exactly balanced. And I told you as a result of this, it was scary and that I thought liquidations were going to pick up. Well, right after that, we saw the market just absolutely tank. And that meant that people started getting liquidated, right? They started losing, especially long traders. And now that we've recovered a little bit, we are in a similar situation in which liquidations are building up right now on both sides, and likelihood is that is going to introduce some volatility to the market. One thing that I do somewhat see here for Bitcoin is the idea. I saw one of you say it earlier. I do see it. I do see what you mean. I would be very careful with this. This could easily be some sort of trap. This could be a trap. More people right now are long trade or shorting the market, expecting the market to go down. These little patterns like this can be placed to some degree, in my opinion, in order to make investors think the market's going to go up, to start raising the amount of liquidations to the downside as well, to balance out the market, to drive more liquidation so that when the volatility does get picked up, more people on both sides get liquidated. So I would be a little bit careful about this right here. I see the cup and handle pattern. pattern, but I would be very careful about the cup and handle pattern right now. I definitely am still in a do nothing zone. I'm not doing anything. And so you can kind of see the picture that I'm painting. The market does not know what's going to happen. And again, guys, I also don't know what's going to happen. I hope it doesn't come across that way. I genuinely don't. I genuinely have no clue. I don't know what the FOMC meeting is going to be like. I would assume they're not going to raise or cut interest rates. And then I assume they're going to give their opinion on the rest of the market afterwards. I think, hot take, I guess, I think they would seem somewhat optimistic about the economy because we have seen jobs reports and things like that come back somewhat positive. And if that is the case, maybe it's something along the lines of, look, we're not going to do anything right now because we don't want to act too early and allow inflation to re-enter the market, but the economy is moving in a generally good direction, and we want to keep our foot on the gas to make sure it continues in that direction. But as long as it does, maybe we'll start looking at, more interest rate cuts this year or something along those lines, right? And if they come out and say that, I think the market will be in a pretty good spot. It wouldn't shock me if then we go up to chase all of those people who are shorting the market right now. Because on the 1 day we're there, but still remember, on the 7 day it's way bigger, meaning that there are way more liquidations here on the 7 day that imply that this market has even more of a chance to go upwards, and we start liquidating those people if it does go up. So it just comes down realistically to what the Fed says, because I think whatever they say is going to allow this market to chase these liquidations. I think we're either going to chase them to the upside or we're going to chase them to the downside, because looky here, there are still a ton of liquidations to the downside. Now, one bullish thing, a very good thing, is that on the 30 day, we actually are seeing, let's see here, 3.12 billion. 3.19 billion. So we've now officially seen the 30-day flip as well, right? Because although there are still a lot of liquidations to the downside, and if they come out and say something bearish, this market still can go down and chase them. On the 30-day, we've seen it flip bullish. We've seen it flip to a point in perspective in which very easily this market could go upwards to chase billions of dollars of liquidations here on the 30-day charts. And so this is my point, right? We can quite obviously see that the market is primed. Someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. And I think what the Fed says today is going to help us determine who that is, because there's billions of dollars to the downside, there's billions of dollars to the upside, and the market loves liquidations. What I would be careful of, though, is that the possibility that everyone's going to lose, that the market may do something like this, right? Bam, bam. Or this capitulation that I'm talking about is what just happened, and it was bam, bam. You never know. I don't know. All I'm telling you is volatility is going to pick up. We're going to see someone win and someone lose. I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not leverage trading. I'm not buying. I'm not selling. I don't want to be a part of that shit, because I've told you quite consistently, this is a place where it's very easy to lose money. It's very easy to lose money. And as a result of that, I will wait until we are out of this to make my next move. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to do some small buys and some small sells. Of course I will. If we go back up towards 110K and altcoins start pumping, I'll take a little bit of profit. But I'm not doing anything big until we're out of this, because this is the place where it is designed for you to lose. It's designed for it to look like it's going to keep going down and then it goes up. It's designed to make it look like it's going to keep going up and then it goes down. It's designed to make you think it's going to go a little bit higher and then it drops. It's designed to make you think it's going to go a little bit lower and then it pumps. These sorts of things, which I call HMZs, high manipulation zones, are built to make you lose. I don't want to trade in something built for me to lose. Very simple stuff here, guys. And so because of that, I'm waiting. I do like the fact that we're creating descending structure. I see it. I definitely see it. I mean, if we go parallel channel, right, I see what's happening there. And I'm sure you do too. I do like the fact that we're creating descending structure, because you guys know I'm a huge fan of descending structure. I do like the fact that if we go out to our RSI heat map, for example, am I blind? Hold on. Oh, there we go. RSI heat map, for example, we go to something like the, no, not this one, the 24-hour. We're weak. Most altcoins are weak right now, guys. I mean, this is a good spot we're in. Look at the weekly. Like, the weekly itself, a lot of these cryptos are nosediving into the weak and oversold zone. What does that mean? It means that they're being sold too much. They're going too far, too low, too fast, right? So I think we're in a good spot. Don't get me wrong. Descending channel for Bitcoin here. Total 2 back testing. I mean, look at this. Like, this is total 3, sorry. Total 3 back testing, but total 2 specifically successfully back testing this previous, channel here. We're in a good spot. I'm just not going to take the risk right now. I just don't see the point in taking the risk. There is all of the setups necessary to start seeing this market move upwards, but it's going to need that spark. And I'm not sure if we're going to get that spark. There is still the possibility of us getting one more move down and then we come back up or something along those lines. I just don't want to really be a part of it, guys. So I'm not going to do anything. My spot positions, I'm leaving them alone. My minor leverage positions that have been open for a very long time, I'm leaving those alone. But I'm not going high on leverage. I'm not going medium on leverage. I'm not doing big buys. I'm not doing big sales. I'm literally just waiting for later to see what happens because it's going to start making it more clear what to do. You know, it's funny. I've said this so many times. The last 2 months, it's almost getting redundant that I'm not doing anything in here. But how many times has not doing anything saved us, right? The fact that we were talking about not doing anything there, not doing anything there, not doing anything there, not doing anything here, actually on the back test in December. How many times did not doing anything, whether that was buying or chasing the hype or selling and chasing the fear, how many times has that saved us from not losing? I haven't been leverage trading because, quite frankly, had you been leverage trading, you didn't know where the top of this range was, right? Before we had this one, no one knew where the top of this range was. We thought it was this box. So many people lost their short trades to the top side and lost their long trades to the bottom side because they thought they knew where the range was at. Only someone who caught this one did well realistically. And so because of these things, the way that I see it, right, is that not doing anything in here has been the best thing to do. Now, when I say not doing anything, let me remind you, I'm talking about doing big things. I'm talking about doing big things. I did small dollar cost averaging throughout all of this stuff. I mean, if we go back out to the school, you guys remember, I mean, I can go quickly scroll up to it. It was on like the 12th or the 13th or something like that. You guys can see, yeah, December 13th or January 13th, right? Did some small purchases on Bitcoin at 90 and an ETH and one, XLM, ADA, HBAR, Pepe, right? We did buy towards the bottom side, but that was it. Small purchases towards the bottom side and nothing else. And look how well it's gone so far. I'm going to continue to do that. So that's generally where I am. Now, if we're going to do some rapid fire TA, let me just throw it to you. Ethereum, we're still sitting on the 50% threshold. I think ETH is in a decent time to do some small spot purchases, but I'd be doing nothing else. Remember, ETH will not make a move until it breaks out of this descending structure, so that's what I'm waiting on. SWE has finally made the move that I hoped it would. SWE has finally lost that ascending channel, which is now going to start opening up the door towards the upside. As many of you know, back on January 11th, I actually did start selling some of my SWE. 1 second. Here we go. I told you right here. I took another 3% of my entire SWE bag out. I took 5% a couple days before that, whenever we were a little bit higher. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it, so it might be fine. But yeah, I took a little bit of profit off of SWE, a little bit higher. I'm not going to be able to find it. It's okay. Right up here, right on January 5th, I took a little bit of profit. No, it was a little bit lower than the peak. It was right here. 5% of my entire position closed right there. 3% of my entire position closed right there, because I told you ascending channels have a 90% chance of breaking downwards, and it did. Now we're seeing it come back to these levels. We're seeing SWE come back to, $3.35, $3.50, $3. This is a good place to be for SWE. Much better than up here. And so for SWE, I'm actually very optimistic, and I'm actually considering reinvesting some of the profits I took back into SWE very soon. When am I going to do it? I'm not 1,000,000% sure, but I actually am it's starting to look pretty appealing to me. 4-hour nosedived, daily nosedived, almost at that oversold territory. I mean, it's looking pretty appealing to me, so I might be getting back in on some SWE pretty soon here. I'll keep you guys updated. The only thing that does concern me is the fact that there's a gigantic liquidity zone back towards $2.30. It wouldn't shock me if we came back that low. So I wouldn't be doing huge purchases right now, but maybe starting the ladder in the purchases for SWE, getting a little bit bigger and bigger the lower it goes, would make a lot of sense. I'm actually going to do that. So team, what I want you to do is I want you to trigger as tiny, let's go 0.5% position increase on SWE right now. And then I want you to set in buy orders for SWE every 20 cents from here or so, gradually getting bigger and bigger up until we get to say $2.33, at which point I want a large DCA to happen. Yeah, so I'm going to start buying SWE, guys. I mean, I'm going to start slowly accumulating. Again, tiny stuff, tiny. 0.5% means if my total position is $100, I put in 50 cents. So it's tiny. But it's just slowly laddering back in with some of the profits that I took right here. Not all of it. I already took some of these profits and reinvested it back into some other stuff. But some of the profits, throw it back into SWE, because I do like the fact that it's finally getting back to this position. Solana is coming back to a major point of support. Very simply for Solana right now, watch to see if it holds $222 or not. If it holds $222, we're in a good spot. If it loses $222, it's probably going to continue a good bit lower, back towards $200. So this is just a waiting moment right now for Solana. When I look at XLM is it's struggling a little bit, not particularly what you want to see. It did just re-enter back into that descending channel there. So for now, for XLM, I'm just going to pause. I did a tiny purchase on XLM a little bit higher than we are right now. So I'm just going to let it play out and wait and watch, because maybe it is creating some sort of macro structure. Maybe it's creating something more like this, and then we're just going to have to watch that play out. So for now, for XLM, full pause mode. ADA, very simply, I think ADA is in a decent spot right now. I think small purchases on ADA makes a little bit of sense for my portfolio, just because it is still in that descending structure and it's in the bottom 50% in it, which historically is a place where ADA should try to get a bounce soon. So even if it does continue a little lower, I think ADA could get some sort of bounce back up to resistance. So I think tiny purchases here on ADA aren't a terrible idea. H-bar is still successfully backtesting. I'm not buying right now, but I am very happy with where H-bar is at. I just want to see if it can hold some support between here and 27.5 cents, because this is a support level, right? This is a liquidity zone. You want to see whether or not H-bar is going to make this move or not. It is a little bit concerning that it does have this ascending level and these ascending points like this. That is a little bit concerning. So maybe we do see H-bar pull back a little more. So again, I'm not buying or selling right now. I'm just waiting, watching, letting it play out. ICP, very simply, I still think it's a decent time to start doing some small dollar cost averages. I think ICP could get a bounce sometime soon. It's just not showing the signs of life that I would hope for. It is rather separated from this descending level of resistance, so a move back up towards $10 wouldn't shock me at all. So again, I think some small purchases on ICP isn't a bad idea, but I wouldn't be going too crazy on it. SHIB is finally almost at our liquidity zone. I told you all when we were up here, I left this circle. I thought that SHIB was probably going to come back towards this red zone. It's almost there. I'm just going to leave it alone for a little bit longer to see if it reaches all the way down there before making the move. SHIB was on an ascending level of support. I don't like those. They almost always break to the downside. That's what SHIB did. So now I'm looking to see if it's going to come back towards the support level and hold it or not. Pepe making a decent move today. I mean, guys, like, you can't make this stuff up, dude. We literally laid out this descending channel in the last live stream. I told you all, look, if you lose that 50% threshold, you're probably coming back down towards this bottom half, especially the lower portion of it. Pepe's price hit the bottom half of this bad boy. Here on the daily, Pepe is now oversold, and it is at the bottom 50%. Team, I want you to go in, and I want you to do a small and a half size dollar cost average on Pepe. Generally speaking, that means I'm going to increase the size of my Pepe bag by somewhere around 1.5 to 2.2%, meaning I'm going to reinvest some money back into Pepe, some of the profits that we were able to get in. So with that in mind, yeah, I'm happy to do a little purchase on Pepe. I like the fact that it's back testing the previous resistance zone, trying to flip it to support, back testing this key level of support down here. I think Pepe trying to make a run back to the top side of this channel makes a ton of sense at some point. Maybe it has a little bit lower to go, right? Maybe we need a little bullish divergence before we could see that happen, but Pepe is starting to give me the feeling that it could start to pull back or start to, reverse back towards the upside sometime soon here. And so because of that, yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident with that. So I'm going to do a small and a half size purchase. Jacob, go ahead and, or Gabriel, sorry, go ahead and, you can go ahead and trigger that whenever you're ready. XRP. Let's see. All right, looking at XRP here. XRP is in a decent spot. The trend is now clear. I told you all that. We were looking to kind of see what would happen here with this red box. The red box of support is holding up, but now we have established this key structure. The plan is simple, guys. I mean, the game plan is simple. I will buy some XRP in small portions. XRP is not one of the ones that I'm really majorly accumulating anymore because it is already so high. But if it is anywhere, around or below this green line right here in the middle, I'll do a little bit of purchasing, some dollar cost averaging, because that is the bottom of the descending channel. But outside of that, while it's sitting right upside the top side of the channel, I'm just going to wait. Two options here. It comes down to the 50 or to the 0, right? The 50 or the 0% mark. I'll do a little bit of dollar cost averaging here on both of those, or it'll break to the upside. I'll wait for a back test, and if it back tests, I'll maybe open up a little bit of a leverage trade or something like that. But XRP is in a pause moment. Jasmine just lost a major point of resistance, right? It was Jaspy's not showing me the sign of lives I would be hoping for, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not showing me the signs of life I'd be hoping for. It is nearly back towards that oversold region, so that is something to consider, but it's not there yet. So I'm just kind of in a pause moment for Jaspy. Bonk, very similar position. Bonk is currently, let's see if it's successfully or unsuccessfully. It's trying its best to maintain on top of that previous point of support and resistance that it had before, that little resistance zone. Look, let me get rid of that. There we go. You see that? It's trying to maintain it. It's just losing a little bit of support right now. I would definitely need to see some signs of life from Bonk very soon. I need to see it get back above 2562, because if it doesn't, it just got rejected off a major previous point of resistance, failed to hold it as support, reestablished it as resistance. Not good. You don't want to see that. So for Bonk, major pause moment for me. Caspa still in a major pause moment for me. I told you I want to see what happens. It's either going to break the red box or the red line or the yellow box. So I'm just waiting on that as well. Render, AVAX. Okay, yeah, I mean, those are the majority of the ones. I think you guys are kind of noticing where I am. The two main structures that I'm noticing today is that most of these cryptos are either at the bottom or the top of descending structure. If they're at the top of a descending structure, I'm not doing anything. If they're at the bottom of the descending structure, I'll buy a little bit. That's basically where the entire market is. And you know what's happening, right? The market's still in decision making mode, right? The market's still in decision making mode. It's deciding, are we going to get rejected off the top side and forced back to the downside? And the ones that are at the bottom side are saying, are we going to get rejected off the bottom side and push back upwards? Or are we going to lose support and head to the outside of the descending channel, which is really bad? So you can see the majority of the cryptos we just talked about are at major support or resistance levels, and they're just standing by them. Just like, all right, I'm going to just stand right here and I'm just going to wait. And I'm going to see if this door next to me falls down or not, which is going to be, of course, the market either pumping or dumping as a result of FOMC and all that good stuff. So listen, the majority of the market is just in a waiting moment right now. The majority of the market is in decision-making moment. Are we going to hold support or are we not? That is the key of it all. So I don't need to keep going through every single one. You guys are starting to understand what I'm saying here, right? And so let me recap what we've talked about over the last 57 minutes, okay? Over the last 57 minutes, I told you why the FOMC meeting was going to be so important, why it's so important going forward, and why you need to pay attention to it. I gave you some stats a little bit about what's going on in the economy and why it is so important for altcoin season that we do actually start to see the economy in a bit of a better place. We then went and we looked at some crypto. And we talked a little bit about what's happening in the market, especially the fact that we're seeing a lot of randomness here on the day for many cryptos. I mean, look what just happened, right? We just saw XEN just pop back up, and we saw one of these ones that was right here just drop back down. I can't remember what it was. Now, as a result of all of this, we went look at the market and realized that the market is in a pretty big balance, where in the short term, no one really knows what's going on. We're seeing just as many people shorting and longing the market as on both sides. And of course, that opens the door for volatility. I expect volatility to pick up. I think we're going to start to see people get liquidated on both sides. And if you are investing on high leverage or trading on high leverage right now, you're probably going to lose. I think people on both sides of this are going to lose. It's just a matter of seeing which side wins and which side loses first. Okay. With that in mind, as all of this has been playing out and as we have been in decision-making mode, it is the reason why the market is in neutral, because no one knows what's going to happen. Everyone's just guessing. And if you go look at any charts for most of your cryptos, they're either at a major resistance or a major support zone, which implies that they're waiting to see what that decision is from the market to then be able to make their move. We're in a waiting period right now. Nothing more, nothing less. So with that in mind, what I want to do is I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to do a bit of a Q&A. Let's talk about what's going on. We are not putting the XAI scams in here. No thanks. I want to talk to the chat. Let's do a bit of a Q&A. Let me know what you guys are thinking, what you're seeing, what you want to check out. And then, yeah, we're going to wrap this bad boy up in about 10 minutes. We got some meetings and stuff coming up pretty soon here. So, gonna have to jump off in a second here. People are telling me to check out Trump. I'm not really interested in checking out Trump right now, and the only reason that I say that, guys, is just because it's still trying to develop, right? It's still trying to develop. For example, if you go look at Trump, there's not much TA to be done. Not much TA to be done. The only thing I can say is that on the 4-hour charts, it is putting in bullish divergence, which means technically there is a chance that it does start to try to reverse soon, but that would need to come with some news from Trump. That would need to come with some good news from Trump. I'm not quite sure that it's going to have the juice to do it, but it has the ability, right? It's putting in descending structure to the downside. It very well could break upwards, but at the end of the day, this is the first time this thing is taking a nosedive. You don't know what it's going to do here. Technical analysis won't really help you. It can just give you an idea, like, okay, well, we're seeing descending structure and we are seeing bullish divergence. That means a push to the upside could be on the way, but it's just a matter of waiting and watching because we don't have chart history. Without chart history, all you're doing is guessing, right? So just gotta take that into consideration. Drink your water and like the video. Thank you very much. All right, let's answer some questions from the chat before I go ahead and jump off. Guys, don't forget, if you are new in here, before we do, I am waiting for some of you to ask some questions. If you do want to go get up to $20,000 on WEEX or WEEX, you can use that link in the description below. You can literally get $20 for just signing up and recovering your account. Very good stuff right there. And don't forget, again, that if you do want to see the things like those purchases that I did back in the day at Bitcoin at like 90K that actually worked out well, you can, of course, check out our crypto school down below. There's a bunch of different options there for you to explore. Feel free to check out all the different perks and things like that. We are doing a merge on Saturday, so things are going to change up. This will be your very last chance to get into the school before that merge. So feel free to go check that out. Let me know what you think. The meeting is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. I think it'll do well. I think it'll do well because I think Solana's going to do well. Shout out to you. How's it going? How's it going, Sarah? Happy to have you in. I don't do futures. I only do spot. Can you explain to me how I can dollar cost average on spot trading? Well, it's very simple, right? I mean, obviously, you can either, if you're spot trading on an exchange, you can add more margin in. Although you're not margin trading, you're just simply adding more size to your holding, which is basically you just buying, or dollar cost averaging for spot trading is literally just buying more. Pretty simple stuff there. Alrighty, hit the like button. You dang on right. Can I get your Discord server? It is accessible through the link to the school down below. It's funny because a month ago, everyone was using previous bull charts to show the expectation of a bear trap. And now that it's possibly happening, everyone is still absolutely terrified. I digress. You know what's funny? Everybody says that this bull market's been underperforming, and it's funny, right? It's kind of funny. Let me show you something. It's definitely not been a great one. I'm not going to lie and say it's been a great one, but it's been pretty decent. Like, let me just show you guys something. Hold on. Why are you not loading? Oh, what's going on? I wanted to show you guys a chart that compares. For some reason, it's not loading. I wanted to show you guys a chart that compares the total return of the previous bull markets, but it's not. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Watch this. Look at this. Here we go. Let's give it a second. I don't know why this thing's moving so slow today. I mean, look. So, like, let's go in. Let's take out the first two cycles, because obviously that was like 2008 to 2012, 2012 to 2016. And just kind of look at how the cycle is played out. So this is the 2017. The yellow line is the 2017 to 2021 market. The green line is the 2017 or 2020. Sorry. The orange line is the 2017 market. The green line is the 2021 market. This pink line is our current market. And although the green line, which was, of course, 2021, was ahead of us by now, right? So if we take off this one, you can kind of see. Although it was ahead of us, it wasn't super ahead of us. We're still moving very similarly to how we moved last time, because there are periods, look, where the 2021 cycle took off and this cycle didn't do much. But look at how when the 2021 cycle dumped, this market started to pick up, and we've been intertwined. Now, does that mean that because we have been consistently following in line over a longer period of time with 2021 that we're going to match it? No, we might not see this market do as well as 2021 did. That is very possible. We don't have the same retail liquidity that we had before. It's possible. But this market is not performing bad. And everyone thinks that just because we've gone sideways here. Look, like even back here, we saw a steep decline around the same exact time back in 2021. Then if you put on market cycle number 3, we're actually, look, let's do this. We are perfectly in line with 2000, the one from 2017. This is what happened in 2017. This period we're in right now is just as boring, just as slow, and just as not exciting as it was last time. It's almost mirroring 2017, just from a little bit more of an exaggerated perspective. Look, stop getting caught up into the vulgar language warning bullshit. Okay, there's no need for it. Everyone's falling for this nonsense that we're seeing all over the place. This market is not performing bad. It's just been boring for a few weeks. Lock in, bro. It kind of gets under my skin. We've never seen a market like this. Yes, we have. Look. Because if you say we've never seen a market like this or performance like this, you're not looking. You're just spewing. The problem is that, like, I'm sorry, I'm inelegant. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Everyone wants this market to be like the best bull market we've ever had before. The best situation we can. How much better can a bull market get from an altcoin perspective than the government printing out thousands of dollars of checks and just giving them to everyone? How much better can it get than that? Your expectations are unrealistic. Your expectations are unrealistic. And the craziest part is, without that, we're still seeing this market do well. So lock in and relax. Anyway. All right. I have to rant. You guys know I rant once a stream. So, okay. Let's see. Any questions? Feel free to ask your questions. I do have a meeting coming up here in about 15 minutes, so we will have to wrap this bad boy up in a little bit here. But I do want to answer some questions for you. Man, I love being back on stream, guys. That is one of my least favorite things about traveling, is I can't stream. I can't stream. That sucks. I love being on stream with you all. And don't forget, guys, if you have been enjoying the stream, like it. What happens when you do like this stream is that after the stream ends, more people will go back and watch it. And if they go back and watch it, when I stream the next time, they'll see it and they'll go watch it. So it helps me out a ton. So I would really appreciate it. Yeah, I get called Kermit the Frog pretty consistently. I think it's pretty accurate. I get Patrick Mahomes a lot too. I don't really hear that one as much, but I know my microphone can kind of raise the tone of my voice a little bit. I hear that a lot when I run into you guys in public. You always say, "Oh, your voice is a little deeper than I thought." I think it's just because I have like a sound filtration on here, and so sometimes it doesn't pick up the more whatever. I'm not going into this anyway. Okay. Should I sell my SWE and buy back lower? What if it doesn't go lower? Ask yourself that question. Oh no, that's okay, homie. What time is FOMC? That is in, I think, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, please. 3.5 hours. No. 1 p.m. 1 p.m. It says 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 9:30. How long is that from now? 4.5 hours. Something like that. Y'all let them know. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. Are those real plans? Oh no. Oh no. By no means are they real plans. All right. I think it's going to do well. I mean, obviously, we're not in a time for microcaps and stuff like that, so it's hard to tell. Obviously, some will die and some will survive. So let's just see if it survives. If it survives, it'll do well. I think, though. Absolutely, it's hard to tell what ETH is going to do, but I would assume ETH could very well do pretty good over the coming months, just because you are starting to see many institutions and Donald Trump's company itself buying ETH. So something's happening there, obviously, right? Something's happening there. All right. XEN looks pretty good. Thoughts on XEN, Tyler? XEN looks pretty good. I haven't had a ton of time to do some due diligence on it. Obviously, we are merging the school on Saturday. We're creating, it's going to go from Tyler Hill's Crypto Vault to the Crypto Strategy School. I actually have a full video that'll release on Saturday about it. It's going to be called the Crypto Strategy School. It's going to be a combination of myself and a couple other influencers. We're releasing a beginner and intermediate course with over 50 modules worth of content. So we've been working on that. And then I went to San Francisco for a couple days. So we've been super busy, but it does look pretty good. Victor Doom says the super sticker. Much appreciated, homie. Thank you so much. And hopefully I've been somewhat of value to you. All love, homie. Head and shoulders on the soul 1 hour doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there is one or if there isn't one. It's all going to come down to what happens at FOMC. The FOMC meeting. Absolutely, homie. Shout out to you. I don't really have many thoughts about Algorand, to be honest. All right, that's possible. It could go to 250. That's possible. I would agree. I don't agree that I think it's going to, but I would say that it is possible for sure. All righty. Well, look, that was a great stream, everybody. I have to go get this meeting sorted. We're actually gonna we have a pretty important meeting today, so I'm gonna go get that sorted out. We have a bunch of news coming out very soon, so stay tuned for that. Obviously, with the school and the merge and all that stuff. So I have to go get on that. But I was so happy to be back on stream with you all today. If you guys did enjoy the stream, again, as I do ask as always, and I know it gets annoying, but it really is helpful. Please do touch that like button. Just like one of those, just a little poke. You don't gotta beat it up. You don't gotta hit it with a cart. You don't gotta just give it a little poke. It's very simple, very easy, but it does help me out a ton. And if you are new here, if you have been enjoying the streams, all that I ask from you as well is that you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Don't forget, one more /shameless shill before we get off. All I ask for you guys as well, if you are interested in doing some trading, to check out that WEEX link down below. You can get, of course, up to $20,000 in bonuses if you do sign up and start trading today, which $20 of that you can get from literally just creating and recovering your account. Very good stuff right there. And don't forget, if you do want to check out our school, it is available for you down here. There, after Saturday, the prices will never be like this again. I can't say much about it because we are saving a lot of it until Saturday, but I'm just telling you, the prices will never be like this again. Things are changing. There's a lot of changes coming. So if you are interested and if you have been thinking about pulling the trigger, now's probably a good time to go check it out. But of course, I hope you guys did enjoy the stream. I'm going to be streaming a good bit. Maybe I'll even do another stream after FOMC. We'll kind of just see how it all plays out. I have a couple things to go knock out now that I'm back home. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, again, smash that like button. And I can't wait to see you all in the next stream. Peace out, everybody.